Merry Christmas! What a great joy to watch a great movie on this Christmas day. The Witch by Robert Eggers.
Let us pray.
Nosferatu releases, and we wanted to review this one because this is his first film they came out with. I've never seen it. Devin, you own this film.
I do.
So
it's got to be my fourth or fifth time seeing this film.
So this movie takes place in 1600 around the Salem witch, like 30 years before the Salem witch thing started.
Yeah, I think it's around the 1630s is when this takes place.
And it follows a family who is basically cast out from their plantation. And at first I was like, what the heck's going on? And I didn't really understand why they got cast out until later on in the film, which is explained by what's something that the father did.
Pride.
And
he took too much pride in himself. And I think he prided himself over the church somehow. I don't know what that means, but as the movie unfolds, we see he is quite prideful, despite
very much so
him being kind of an idiot.
Oh, finally.
Father, it died.
To the end.
And they're a very, very strong religious family, and they get to this land and they pray over this land, and they think that this land is awesome. But to us, the audience, is like, we hear the music and you're like, man,
that's right. It's like, yo, I hear the music. That's exactly right. First thing you'll notice in this film is it's difficult to understand what anybody's saying because they are speaking early English. I looked it up. Apparently it's called Jacobean English.
I cannot be judged by false Christians, for I have done nothing save preach Christ's true gospel.
This was like a dialect that was really popular back then in the Northeast. But I will say, just like in The Lighthouse, after a minute, your ear kind of gets tuned to it. And you're like, okay, I see what you're saying.
As soon as they started talking, I turned on the subtitles, like, give me that little bounce ball.
That's funny.
Give me that.
Apparently, some of the dialogue is taken from transcripts from the Salem witch trials. So this is supposedly literally how they spoke. We spoke off camera about the director, Robert Eggers, and the level of detail that he has in this film is completely obsessive. They're speaking period accurate language. They're wearing period accurate clothes. Apparently all the sets were built by hand, just like the houses would have been at the time. Like, it is extreme. This level of detail carries throughout every little bit. And he's actually telling another story through the details if you pay attention very closely, which I think is just really fantastic. So this movie takes place very strictly from this one family's point of view. And because they are so deadly religious, they see God everywhere. They see demons everywhere. They see witches everywhere. Everything is viewed through the lens of God. But the problem is they're on hard times, yo. Their corn is rotten. They can't find anything out to hunt in the woods. They've been kicked out of the Commonwealth. And this leads to, of course, the biggest theme of the film, and that is paranoia. This movie is all about the paranoia of religion because they see God everywhere. They think maybe God or witches are hurting them in some form or some fashion. But there is another story being told in the details of this film.
Caleb is basically the second man of the house here. He does what his father tells him to do. He lives by the Bible and what his father taught him, but he has this nasty inflection with his sister, whether it be normal of him having these little hornball things at 12 years old. Okay.
If you take this movie literally, everyone has a terrible, vice, right? The little boy is lustful. The father is prideful. The baby wasn't baptized. Anya Taylor-Joy, she hit puberty and hadn't gotten married, okay? These are things that mean you're about to go to hell back then, okay? Apparently their mother had noticed him glancing at his sister, and to keep up with the themes in this film, the mother blamed the sister. Neither kid did anything wrong. They're just both existing. But back then, and still today, women are often viewed with suspicion, and they end up taking the blame for things that are not of their control, right? But early on in the film, they are trying their best to make do on this crazy, fucked up, harsh land in the middle of nowhere. And then we see Anya Taylor-Joy playing peekaboo with a little boy. They have an infant. She's playing peekaboo.
It's in the trailer.
Yes. And she covers her eyes, lifts him, baby's gone, right? Man. And she very specifically says, I did not see a wolf. I don't know what happened. He was there 1 second and gone the next, right? Mm-hmm. And so they're like, yo, what did you do with the baby? Where's the baby? What's happening? And the mom's like, all right, well, F it. Let me just get my silver cup, my father's silver cup. I'll sell that. Let's see if we can get $1 or $2. And dad's like, I sold that already. I already sold that shit. But he couldn't tell anybody because he's a coward. So he let Anya Taylor-Joy yet again take the blame for that.
What is amiss in this farm?
Also, side note, this is Anya Taylor-Joy's first major film role. Thought she killed it. Absolutely knocked it out of the park. This was obviously Robert Eggers' first major film as well, first feature film. I think he did some short films before this.
When the baby's got taken, and you see this weird figure in the background of a lady sharpening up a knife, and all of a sudden you see the knife get close to the baby, and it cuts to her grinding something, and then it's like blood, and you're like, oh man, she done did that to the baby.
She's ground the baby up into a paste,
and then she put it all over her body, and I'm like, so this is some type of ritual or spell,
right? Now again, for me, this is where I think what's unclear is how many witches are out there. What did the witch de-age herself by rubbing the baby's blood all over herself? Because the next time we see a witch, she's young and beautiful, or supposedly smearing baby's blood and baby's fat on the broom was the potion you needed to fly.
Oh yeah,
because after that we see her flying. Right. So did she de-age or did she just fly? I don't know. And the movie doesn't seem to care. Also, the cinematography, the obsessive nature of Robert Eggers is extreme. Okay. He clearly did his research on the 1630s at the time. Baroque paintings were all the rage. These are paintings where you have high contrast of light and dark, and this whole film is shot like that. It's shot like a Baroque painting. As a matter of fact, there are shots in here that are straight up lifts from very famous paintings, like the last image of those women dancing around. That's a very famous painting called The Dance. Did a little research on Robert Eggers. Turns out he was a production designer. This is just his jam. But the baby goes in the woods, it gets pounded into a paste, and the family is left like wondering, why is God cursing us like this? What is happening? Caleb, the little boy, openly asks his father, are we cursed?
So Caleb feels like he has answers. Caleb feels like, I'm gonna go out there and find food to bring some type of hope back to this family. Like, they see this bunny. Right. They see this bunny. It's like, you're thinking like, wait, is the witch a shapeshifter and she's actually this bunny now? Or what? Because bad things happen around.
That's right.
This bunny, and like the dog, they brought the dog out there. The dog chases the bunny. The horse that Anya Taylor-Joy was on, that dude just bucked off and left.
But before that happened, the gun backfired into the father's face when he tried to shoot the bunny. So the whole thing.
Right. There's just so many times where something happened where this bunny was there and weird stuff happened, right? Thomason and Caleb, they get separated.
Right.
And you see the Woodhouse, and then this lady in red comes out looking like Riding Hood. And she got some big old tatas, and she's like, I know what you like, and you like these cinnamon buns, right? She brings him in, and then she does the freaking blank check.
He's 10. No, what the fuck?
They don't kiss for more than a millisecond before a big nasty witch arm comes out and grabs them, right? So you're supposed to feel gross. The fact you felt gross in blank check was like an accident.
No, what the fuck?
In the dead of the night, when it's raining and it's mucky, he comes out of nowhere, out of the woods, butt naked. They feel like he is cursed. He's not waking up. At this point, Mercy actually believes that her older sister is a witch, because she feel like she did this to Caleb.
This is Robert Eggers' first film. So it's not perfect, right? It's not 100% perfect. The movie doesn't explain everything, and there are things that should be explained. like we talked about those two little kids, they kind of vanish in the film, right? There's a point where where the father is like, I'm tired of these kids and I'm tired of you, Anya Taylor-Joy. I'm just going to board you up into the farm. And after that, the kids kind of vanish. Did they get killed by the goat?
By the witch? Yeah.
Unclear. Robert Eggers doesn't quite have this movie sealed airtight, like he does later on.
Black Phillip was a chant that they were given to the goat.
Right. Some sort of song. Yeah.
Anya Taylor-Joy was like pleading to her father, saying, "Hey, look, that's the devil."
Jonas and Mercy. They made covenant with the devil in the shape of Black Phillip.
Towards the end of this film, her father's gone because the father got crammed by Black Phillip. She had to kill her mother because her mother was like, "You took my children away from me," and everything.
But how did she kill her?
You know,
she the mom was laying on top of her and she stabbed her, so she bathed herself in blood. Again, very symbolic. That's one of the first steps you got to take to becoming a witch, apparently.
Yeah, and then she had it all over her body, and then she goes back to the shed at night, and she's basically calling to Black Phillip to speak to me, talk to me, all this stuff. And I thought it was some really cool visual thing where you see the goat foot, and then it turned to like an actual human. He's basically saying, "I can give you the world, and all you got to do is do this for me." She gets butt naked, and she goes into the woods, and what you were saying earlier, where the witches were, you know, singing song around a campfire, and then she floats up just like them. Did she become a witch? What is that supposed to be symbolized?
She signed the book and everything. She signed the book. She killed her mother. She bathed in the blood. Yeah, stripped naked. She became a witch. She wanders off into the woods. Damn. She floats up. They recreate the famous painting called Dance, and there's a French painting, and that's the end of the film. So there are two ways to watch this film, which I just think is so fun. The first way is, of course, the literal way. Everything you see is real and is actually happening.
That's the way I'm looking at it.
There are witches in the woods. They are being tortured and tormented by these witches.
There's a demon in the goat.
Yeah, the whole thing, right? Or, and they tell you this very early on in the film, if you're paying attention, or this family is just sick because they establish early on their corn is rotten. And what do we see them eat? Cornmeal. So they're over here eating rotten corn.
But they're hallucinating.
Exactly. So almost everything in this film could be seen through, you know, the lens of a witch. Or it's just a family that just does not know how to live out in the woods. And they're jumping at ghosts and they're killing each other. They literally are tearing each other apart. But they can only see things through a religious lens. Neither way is right. Neither way is wrong. You can choose however you want to read, however you want to read or interpret this film. And I find that to be a lot of fun. I gotta be honest with you, yo, those look like bad woods to live in. I didn't see any wildlife ever. I'm not sure if I heard a bird.
The only thing that I felt that they had that was to their benefit was a creek with fresh water.
We are introduced to the creek in a very specific order. First, the father falls backwards into a pile of goat shit. And he's like, "Oh, God damn it." And then the mom's like, "Help your father and clean his clothes." So she's holding clothes full of goat shit. And she takes them to the stream. There's a long shot of her washing goat shit into the stream. And the little boy is watching because he's kind of horny, you know. And then he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm here to get water." And then he dips the water trout downstream. This is, again, that's what I'm saying. Shit. These people are poisoning themselves, right? People get sick and they have awful stomach aches and die.
My balls! My stomach! She bitches!
They start seeing people in the woods. I love that kind of stuff. That's a lot of fun.
And when you come to think about it, the other duties that Anya Taylor-Joy's character had to do in here, she had to tend to the goats. And there was a scene in here where she's pumping the goat for milk and it's blood.
Right.
Now, to me, is that like a supernatural thing where blood is coming out of there? Or is it literally blood and you're just now noticing it?
Yeah.
And you've been drinking it the whole time?
Or is the goat sick too? These people need 101 on how to hunt. They need a 101 on how to plant food. And they need a 101 on hygiene. these things would have rescued this family. Because at the end of the film, the kids pretending like they're in some sort of a trance, the little twins, because they're just like little shitheads, you know? And she's like, yo, pretend like you'll kill them and they'll wake up. And sure enough, they woke up, right? So it's like, do they actually believe this, or are they just bored kids? Because you remember the satanic panic? That happened in the United States just like 30 years ago, okay? So again, I really like this movie, and one of the things I like about the movie, like I said, is you can watch it in more than one way, and how this film is ultimately about paranoia and how women always end up being on the wrong side of that paranoia, right? Every single time. Thomasin told the truth and she was punished for it, right? Thomasin did nothing and she was punished for it. Because at this time, there's a lot of distrust of young unmarried women. And guess what? Nothing's changed.
So she basically is, at the end of the film, she's like, you know what? Since y'all don't trust me, since y'all saying all this, I'm gonna go ahead and do it anyway and become the witch and stuff.
Right.
You know?
And that becomes a great question too. Was she actually seduced to the dark side? Or does she literally have nowhere else to go? What else is she supposed to do, right? The movie works on so many different levels that if you rewatch it, it's almost like rewatching another film. It's like, wait, what is this movie here? You know, the corn for me stood out so loud the second time watching it, where the first time I barely noticed it at all. There are actually whole scenes where the camera just lingers on the corn. It just lingers and lingers and lingers.
I noticed it, but I was connecting the corn to the land and how if the land is
exactly
cursed.
that's it.
That's what I was connecting.
And because that's what the family did, right? Totally.
Yeah.
Right.
I was following
exactly.
that.
Some people don't like this film because they say it's a horror film where nothing happens, right? And that is totally 100% the truth. Not a damn thing happens in this film. And that to me is where the horror is. I'm a big Stephen King fan. If you read his books, I'll be blunt with you, nothing happens in those books at all. Except you are about to shit yourself trying to read that book. You know what I mean?
But it's your mind is bringing up everything that's going on.
Exactly. And
I think Robert Eggers, as we've seen throughout certain depictions of what his films, like The Lighthouse, are these two men going
exactly
insane?
Right. You know, the horror is in the subtext, right? It's exactly right. In The Lighthouse, these two people are going absolutely batshit. Or are they just drunk? Or is this just one guy or what? It's so unclear, and that's a lot of fun. But yeah, like I said, 2 ways to watch this film. The fascinating second way to watch it is the witches aren't real. These people just have bad hygiene and bad luck. They poison themselves with corn. They're drinking boo-boo water, and the father has no skill, right? We see him outside. He can't hunt for shit, right? All his traps are empty. He can't fire the gun, right? So that is one way to watch it. Or you can take this movie literally, that a witch stole the baby, smeared baby blood all over herself to make herself young. She seduced a little boy. She poisoned the crops, and the devil, dressed as a goat, killed the dad. Thomasin bathes in her mother's blood and goes off to be a witch herself, right?
To be a witch, right?
That's terrifying. You're like, what?
That's terrifying too. So yeah, so what? That's the horror.
Well, the horror is, can you tell the difference? Can you tell the difference? And the answer is no. You really can't. So what is the truth? Does the truth matter? No. From their point of view, the truth does not matter. You can use like a mythological explanation for everything in the film, and they're doomed. Or you can use a more real world explanation in the film, and they're doomed. So let's just stick with the mythological stuff, because that's way cooler. There actually is a witch in the woods preying on families with unbaptized babies and stuff like that. I think that's a lot of fun.
I did enjoy this film, and it does deserve a second viewing for me.
And the cinematography alone is, I think, worth another viewing. It's a hallmark of a really well-organized director when the movie can look that good and the story is still good. I pick on Zack Snyder a lot, only because he's easy to do. But his movies also look fantastic, right? Zack Snyder has never made a bad-looking film in his life. But because all his focus is on the look of the film, like the story is
his
just
story
ass.
sucks.
You know what I mean? Robert Eggers sees the real deal. It is hard to believe when you watch this film that this is someone's first film. That the guy who made this never made a feature film before this.
Crazy. And he comes from a background of production.
Yeah, exactly.
I enjoyed The Witch. And of course, Devin, you enjoyed The Witch. But more importantly, What do you think about this film? Get in the comments below and let us know what you thought of The Witch. Was it real? Thank you so much for clicking on this video. You guys are continuing to run up the numbers and subscribing to the channel and talking to us in the comments, and we really do appreciate you. So if you are new to seeing us, hit that subscribe button right at the bottom, or the witch gonna come after you and bathe in your blood.
That's right. It'll make me pray against you now.
It's the what hand up like this.
That's a real prayer, boy. Shit.
And if you sorry, that was funny. And if you did like this review for this film, please hit the thumbs up, all right? Or you can hit that thumbs down, whichever you choose. It is your opinion. Just remember one thing, it is mostly wrong. We'll see you in another review.
Yeah, let's get some goat curry, boy. Let's do it.
Black Phillip about to taste good.
Sure is. Put a little black garlic in that ass, boy.
Black garlic.
A little black pepper. You know what I'm saying?